Hello, brilliant entrepreneur. This is Tash Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 222. What a magical number. And all the show notes and relevant links for today's episode can be found at tashcorbin.com/222. Now, you're going to want to remember this podcast episode because I have a brand new free resource for you, and it's a really, really awesome one. So make sure that you stay till the end and find out about what that resource is, and head on over to tashcorbin.com/222 once we are done. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you my copywriting tips to increase connection and conversion. So it's a really good one, and I want you to listen closely because I have 6 epic tips for you, and they are all really meaty ones. So let's jump in. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to say that yes, you can hire copywriters for your business. Yes, you can do courses on how to write copy more effectively for your business. You can outsource writing a lot of the copy in your business. But if those copywriters are any good, they're going to have a bunch of questions for you. And those questions are going to be really difficult for you to answer if you don't at least try and learn and practice how to write your copy yourself, especially in the early stages of business. Because in the early stages of business, you are still finding your voice. And so doing your own copy is a really smart part of really nailing your messaging, your value proposition, and how you talk about your work. Regardless of whether you can afford to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to copywriters or not, I would recommend holding off in the early stages of business and just practicing and learning how to write about your business in your own words first. This is really critical, especially as your business starts to grow, because you can't outsource every piece of writing that you'll ever have to do for your business. And I know so many entrepreneurs who say, I'm a terrible writer, I'm just not good with words, I don't know how to talk about my work. And instead of asking the question like, should I do my copywriting or not? I think the question should be, how can I become just dangerous enough with my own copywriting so that I can get those results? I know how to speak to my audience, and therefore I know how to hire a great copywriter. I know how to answer their questions, and I know how to create pieces of content and copy that I need to without always having to ask someone else to do it for me. I think that writing is a non-negotiable skill for entrepreneurs, and it doesn't have to be, that you write your own book yourself or you write everything yourself, but some kind of writing for your business, I think, is a non-negotiable skill. So these are my 6 tips on how you can improve your copywriting to increase the connection that you create with your audience and increase the extent to which it converts people into paying clients with you as well. So this is hyper-focused, hyper-effective copy for your business. So tip number 1, it takes practice. And expecting yourself to write the perfect sales page the first time around is like expecting yourself to be able to do a double toe, triple axel spin on the ice when you first get in a pair of ice skates. It's not about doing it perfectly the first time around. What you want to do is write it as best you can and practice and refine as you go. The same goes for every offer that you write, every blog post that you write, every tip that you share on social media, all of the posts where you're sharing your story, the emails that you send, your newsletters. It all comes down to practice. And I know so many people who are still waiting to be good at writing before they put out their first newsletter. And you would be way better if you had started back when you decided you needed to be better. So make sure that you're not putting yourself in a perfectionist mindset when it comes to writing, and you allow yourself the opportunity to practice. And don't just practice behind the scenes and refine behind the scenes and refine behind the scenes. Practice by actually speaking to your audience. Because in most cases, the way that we think we need to write in order to connect and convert is very different to the way we actually need to write. We often over-formalize our language. We often think we have to write in these big, broad, general, sweeping marketing terms with shiny, sparkly words, and that's actually quite disconnecting, but you won't know that for your audience until you start writing to them. So whether it be practicing with a daily post on social media or a newsletter or an email that you send out once or twice a week, or you get that sales page written and get it out there and start sharing it and see what people say, I think it's important that you start approaching this as a writing practice as quickly and effectively as possible. So that's number one. It's all a practice. Number two, listen. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You write with 1 hand in most cases. And that is an important balance to have. So many people are so busy trying to tell their audience what they need them to hear that they're not actually listening to what their audience says in return. I don't know how many times people come to me so frustrated and they say, people need to work on A, B, and C. And whenever I talk about it, they say, yeah, that's great, but I need F. And these people just don't get it. And it's so frustrating. And I say to that, you are focusing on the wrong thing here. Your audience are telling you exactly what they think the problem is. They're telling you exactly what they think the need is. They're telling you exactly what they think their priority should be. And all you need to do is link F, the thing that they think that they need and that they're telling you is the priority, to what you know is the real thing going on for them. Link those 2 things together. And all of a sudden, you've got your audience, you're meeting them where they are, and you're helping them with what they need and what they think they need, and you're also moving them forward and closer to understanding the deeper challenge and the deeper issue that's going on. So listen to the replies, read the replies, listen to your audience, and that brings me to point number 3, ask your audience. Now, hands up. I'm included. I'm putting my hand up here. If you, when you first started your business, got out there and you didn't ask any questions, that was me. When I first started my business, I was like, I have to be the expert. I have to tell. And all of my posts on social media were me giving great advice and sexy tips and look at how smart I am. I know how to do everything. Look at all these amazing tips I'm giving you. And I would often do like little question posts on my Facebook page because I was told, you want to get comments and engagement on your Facebook page. But if after 3 hours they didn't have an answer, I would delete them because I didn't want people to see I was asking questions and getting crickets to my questions. But what I really should have been doing is leaving those questions up there because you never know who's going to stumble across them. And I mean, back in 2013, the lifespan of a post on Facebook was 11 billion times longer than one now anyway. But also, it helps me when I go back and look over what I've shared and posted and asked in the last month to see which questions get great answers and lots of engagement and which questions get crickets. Because the quality of the question is also a writing skill. So ask your audience lots of questions. End tips with questions here and there. Don't always end with questions because we know you're doing it because you want engagement. But, ask questions of your audience. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions doesn't say you don't know what you're doing. It says you're keen to understand how you can support me better. And that's a big difference. So consistently ask your audience really helpful, meaningful questions that not only help you with looking at where you need to be meeting a need, but also ask questions that help them as well. Often I'll ask a question and people say, I never really thought about it that way. Well, this is my answer to that question. So, ask a range of questions, some yes, no questions, some which would you rather questions, and some open-ended questions. And point number 2, backtracking to point number 2, make sure you listen to the answer. Tip number 4 for making your copywriting really connect and convert is to make sure your language is tangible and conversational. And this is where, particularly in the spiritual entrepreneur spaces, the healer spaces, and some of the more generalist business coaching spaces, I see people struggle because their modality can help everyone. Their modality is working at the highest of levels. And you can get caught in this trap of constantly speaking up in the clouds and talking about broad brush things that, of course, everyone wants. Like, would you rather be more productive with your time? Yeah, everyone does. Do you want your business to go to the next level? Yeah, everyone does. Do you want your children to be happy? Yeah, everyone does. You need to get more tangible. Speak to my 3D reality? What am I facing? What's going on for me? How does it show up? What can I touch, feel, taste, hear, and smell, right? What are my 5 senses telling me? What do my results tell me? What do my frustrations each day tell you about how you can connect with me with your language? And keep it conversational. You don't have to be this perfectly polished and manicured expert all the time. When I tell stories the way I would tell them over a dinner with a glass of wine on social media and in emails and in my podcasts, they are the ones that get the most engagement. They are the ones where people are going, yes, that's exactly what happens to me. Thank you for being so honest about this. Thank you for helping me with this. That is where people really connect with my messaging and my copy. So be tangible and conversational as much as you can. Number 5, and this is a big one when it comes to copy, is don't fall into the advert trap. Now, the advert trap is where everything you post and write looks like an advert. And you'll know what I'm talking about. The headline is always in title case. Every word is capitalized. The way that you present it is always with your big, flowy, sexy words. You've always got your hashtags at the end of every freaking post. Every post has a hyperlink to your Facebook page and your website. Every post has 25 different emojis. You know, you're trying to make it look like it's sharp and polished and professional, and all you're doing is making it look like an ad. Studies have shown that people distrust advertising more than any other form of written content. And yet, so many entrepreneurs try to make everything look like a polished ad. Similarly, it's with the photos and the images that go with those posts. Is it always your professional photos that always has your logo in the corner, always has some perfect words around it, always had your brand color somewhere, a border or something? I understand it's important to have visual synergy and for things to look like they're on brand as consistently as possible. But there's a big difference between the perfectly polished advert version of you and the real and raw and connecting conversational version of you. So where possible, try and make your copy as organic to the platform as you can. So if you're on Facebook where people share stories and personal insights and what happens to them, then speak in Facebook style language. Post it as though you are posting an update to your friends about that hilarious bus trip you went on. Post it with a selfie of you in the throes of whatever it is that you're talking about. Don't be afraid to be human, because social media is for humans. It is a social platform. So whether you are on Instagram, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're doing videos, whether it's static, whether it's written, whether it's got photos, as much as possible, try and make it not look like an ad, because people don't trust ads. Make it look like content that is organic to that platform. Number 6, and this is something that applies to all 5 of my previous tips, is to niche. And I talk about niche a lot, and I understand you probably think I sound like a broken record now, but too many people are trapped in trying to speak to everyone, and instead what your copy does is resonates with no one. And so many people think that they've got their niche down because their niche is busy mums who have a business and want it to be more successful. But I've never met a not busy mum, and I've never met an entrepreneur who doesn't want their business to be more successful. That is not a niche. An age range is not a niche. We really need to get educated on what a niche is. It is a specific subgroup of people that you focus on when you are marketing your business. It's not everyone you could help. It's not everyone you want to help. It's not people who are ready to do the work. Your niche is the specific group of people that you focus on when you are marketing your business. And there are 5 core niche decisions that you need to make that cover demographics, psychographics, and sensographics. It's not just about demographic decisions. It's not about writing a long-winded love note to your ideal client. It's about making those 5 important decisions so that you can know exactly how to speak to your ideal client, the type of language you need to use, and the types of questions you're going to ask so that you can listen out for their answers and get out there and start practicing talking to those people. So it is the niching that actually helps you with all 5 of my previous tips with copywriting. And that is why I am so excited that my free resource for you today is a new evergreen niche training you can access whenever you like. So normally I reserve my niche training for a live training only. However, I have run the live niche training 5 times already in 2020, and every single time we get hundreds and hundreds of new people signing up to this. And still in the groups that I'm in on Facebook, on my social media posts, there are always people asking questions. And when I ask about their niche, they are unclear and they have not made those important decisions. So I have made this niche training available to you 24/7. All you need to do is go and check out the show notes with today's episode at tashcorbin.com/222, and you will find the link to my free niche training over on that post. So make sure you go and check it out. Even if you think you've got a good niche, if you are struggling with copywriting, you are struggling with messaging, or you are struggling to really create that connection and conversion with your clients, I always say start with niche, and I highly recommend you go and check that one out. tashcorbin.com/222. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. As always, head on over to the Heart-Centered Soul-Driven Entrepreneurs Facebook group. Let me know any insights and questions that you might have using #podcastaha. Let me know you've been listening to episode number 222. Post your question, your comment, or your feedback. And you never know, I might just give you a shout out on future podcast episodes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.